there, and a beautiful morning to you. Many thanks for joining us on Super Eye, your television program that brings a searchlight on the ills of the society. I'm Adenike, Owoeye, Ajiboye. I think first I should say congratulations to all Nigerians for the 62nd anniversary, independence anniversary of Nigeria. Yes, if not for nothing, at least for the existence of Nigeria, we are together as one nation. Now it is imperative at this point in time for us to just quickly tell you a bit about the history of Nigeria. I'd like to start by telling you that Nigeria gained independence on October 1st, 1960 from the British Empire, and ever since this day has remained a significant day for all of us. Now, what you have noted is that the name Nigeria was coined by Flora Shaw, a woman who was the wife of Lord Lugard. Now, Lord Lugard himself was a British soldier who paved the way for Nigeria amalgamation. He became the first Governor General of this great country, Nigeria. Yes, that's the man. Take a very good look at him. And so you understand that there's no way we want to talk about the history of Nigeria without us seeing this face. Yes, and that is how the nation Nigeria began its journey. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, we want to look at Nigeria at 62. How has the nation fared? Yes, it is not all about pessimism, but we have to be optimistic that this nation can actually get better. But just how do we begin the conversation? Yes, you want to talk about myriads of challenges facing us as a nation. You talk about insecurity, even the state of education. I mean, it's really nothing to write home about. But then again, we just must get it right. We must fix Nigeria some way, somehow. So today, to look at the topic of discussion, join me to welcome two distinguished guests. And at my extreme is Prince. At my extreme is Prince Anselem Udoka. Prince Anselem Udoka is a social commentator. Many thanks for joining us on Super Eye. Also seated by my side directly is an academic, senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, a public analyst. Join me to welcome Dr. Augustine Agugua. Dr. Augustine Agugua, you're welcome to Super Eye. All right, beautiful. So let's just hit the nail on the head. I mean, the nation Nigeria, I want to hear from you. Let me start by saying congratulations to us all that the nation is celebrating 62nd. That is not easy to come by. In the years, I mean, in the life of an individual, being clocking 62, you know what that means. You should have had children, even if possible, you have grandchildren. Yeah. So now, the country Nigeria, let me hear, how do you assess the nation at 62? I'll start with you, Dr. Agugua.
Yeah, really giving us a very interesting, highly exhilarating, and highly appreciative statement. To actually hear that sentiment, to actually appreciate the fact that we have come of age. Incidentally, coming of age as a statement is not something that is coming anew, as it has to do with the history of Nigeria. I remember in one of his speeches as Nigeria's head of state, Nigeria, and specifically Africa, has come of age. Take back that, so back at 1977. I think that was when that statement was made. So from 1977, when Moretala stated Nigeria has come of age, you can now say that for those of them in the arena of gerontology, Nigeria has aged very, very far. But the question is not how long, but how well. Let me make it very clear. Even at the point of independence, Nigeria was noted to not just be a great nation, but a nation the world will learn to respect.
A nation the world will learn
to respect, of course.
Can we really say that we are there?
In 1963, I had a view of our Prime Minister then, late Tafawa Balewa Abubakar, being received by the President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, with so much pomp and pageantry. I remember the appearance of our former civilian president, Shehu Shagari, in the White House, issuing dictates and admonitions to not just the United States of America, but United Nations as a whole, that the travesties being experienced in South Africa will not be tolerated by Nigeria any longer. And they absorbed those comments. I just want to use those two individuals as instances. They absorbed those comments with some element of trepidation and wondered what will happen if they behave otherwise. Of course, when Nigeria was dead in the days of Olusegun Obasanjo as head of state, there was what they call the BP type action, which Britain in later years had to remember whether the BP type action will be taken by Nigeria. That shows you that for a long time Nigeria has really stamped itself in the history of the Committee of Nations as a nation that ought to be and should be respected and take a trajectory down the line. At the point of independence, Nigeria was started as the budding giant of Africa. Today, we still relish that sentiment and comment. Why? Because we have the potentials. We have all what it takes. We have the, call it natural and human resources to prove to the world that if need be, Nigeria has the capacity to generate resources, both human and material, to shake the world. I remember one statement credited to Nelson Mandela, that until Nigeria puts itself in a position to be respected by the world, that the world can never respect Africa. In other words, Nigeria is the pulse and the heartbeat of Africa. Sure. It's to that extent I will say it and tell you that Nigeria has really come of age. But what we make out of that age is something that in the course of this discussion, from point of view of our policies, from point of view of our pronouncements, from point of view of our body language, and from point of view of what Nigerians experience within the confines of Nigeria as a nation and as being citizens of this great nation, and how the outside world rates us today. They say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. It's to that extent we will now say whether, yes, we have come of age in gerontology, but in terms of performance, to what extent will the world say, yes, you have really come of age?
All right, beautiful. I'll take that conversation straight to you, Prince Anselem.
Yeah.
Can we really say that, just based on what Dr. Agugua has said in regards to performance, can we really say that Nigeria is where it was today?
Well, Doctor has said it all. I don't think what Dr. said it very well, and I just want to implement that. Say that. Let me support what he has said. Nigerian, we should celebrate Nigeria, and we should give God, especially myself. I will give God the glory. It's not easy. Nigeria being 62, many have died. We lost a lot of people. You know, many slept, they couldn't wake up this morning. So we that is alive, we give God the glory, and we should be proud of our country. There is nobody that said the mother soup did not sweet. So I will be proud of Nigeria because it's my country. And I want to support Doctor by saying that Nigeria really they have done very, very well.
Nigeria has done very well.
Yeah.
On what basis would you be saying that Nigeria has done well? Because, I mean, we need to know, we need to get the discussion right here. Because I need to know if there is need for us to change the narrative so we know how we foot ahead better. Because something the opinions of many Nigerians on the street, a lot of people will give you what you call, I mean, they will be pessimistic about the state of the nation. So if you say Nigeria has done well, I really want us to know which aspect you're talking about.
You know, even in your own family, being a mother or a father, you have crisis among your children. It's not easy. Nigeria, talk less of, let me just use example as a Lagos State today. Lagos State today is not easy. If the governor in power has not been doing well on his own capacity, that is the governor of Lagos State. Lagos alone is a country. So if I say Nigeria has done very well, it's between me and you. We have to support our country. That's why I say there's nobody. Like if your mother prepares soup, and somebody else will say your mother's soup is not sweet, you will feel bad. So I cannot be part of those as a Nigeria. If we want anything to be done in Nigeria, those people are complaining on the streets. You bring your ideas. It's not by violence. It's not by protesting, causing havoc. There's a way you do it.
Okay, if you want things to be done rightly, you said you come up with ideas.
Yes.
Okay, let me take the discussion back to you, Dr. Agugua. We have witnessed the situation whereby a lot of times professionals will gather and they look at the best course, the way to chart the way forward for the nation, and they come up with communiques, and in most cases these communiques are sent to government.
Of course.
But still, it appears that many of these gathering or fora is just you just talk, and at the end of the day nothing is being implemented. So what do you make out of this?
Yeah, I want to do a little research from point of view of what my friend I just stated. Yeah, it's good we support our own. It's good we brand the image of Nigeria as something that should be acceptable and accepted in the world. It's good we also say this is who we are, because if you don't say this is who I am, no person will say that is who you are. Fantastic. But there is a need at a point in time in the history of any nation. If you don't tell yourself the truth, no person will tell you that truth.
Absolutely.
Let me take the narrative a little outside the shores of this country. All of us know the history of South Africa as a nation today. South Africa in 1948 read the handwriting on the wall and told itself the truth that an Afro-communist onslaught against the evil bastion in South Africa is not just an imagination, but an unpredictable reality that must occur any point in time. So how do we get out of the mess? That mess was actually, people might not know, caged with the formulation of what you might regard as the apartheid policy. In the year 1996, vis-a-vis 97, what do you call him? De Klerk, as Prime Minister of South Africa, whose grandfather fathered the apartheid concept, had to appear before the South African Parliament. That apartheid has served its duty. People might not know that apartheid was like a survival strategy by the whites in South Africa. See, but today, knowing the history of my grandfather in formulating that policy, I stand before you to see that if we are not careful, apartheid is no longer a survival strategy. If we allow it to continue, it will be a suicidal route for all of us. Are we communicating? Yeah. The whites who initiated apartheid now took steps to dismantle apartheid. Let me tell you, it's a story for another day, because for them, apartheid as a policy has achieved its end. They told themselves the truth. I had cause to write a paper on the South African scenario in 2006. The role of the whites in the dismantling of apartheid. Why? Because the whites took it upon themselves to tell themselves the truth. It's in that sense, as a Nigerian citizen, patriotic and highly nationalistic and very optimistic about what this nation possesses, alongside the sentiments you evoked as it has to do with people issuing our statements and communiques on what to do to actually push this nation forward. It's time for us to tell ourselves the truth that Nigeria is not where it is supposed to be, because the so-called ideas of great men of value and substance,
been trashed in the camp.
Great men, women of substance and value, you produce ideas, is swept under the carpet. Why? I want you to understand one thing. One of the tragedies visiting this country, right from inception, have to do with the fact that we are either blessed or not so blessed by most times having mediocres lead those who should actually supervise their activities.
Having mediocres leading those who... All right, now I'm going to come to you. At least you're a politician to a level, as far as I'm concerned, yes. And based on the group you have and what have you. A lot of people feel that the reason for which Nigeria has continued to merry around the same circle is partly because of lack of political will, and the political class are playing a vital role at making Nigeria where it is today. What's your take?
As I said earlier, I always tell people the truth. You know, people outside there watching me, some will praise you, some will curse you. And I don't expect people to praise me. Neither I want people to curse me. But only God knows those who are speaking the truth. I only stand for the truth.
But let's just be sincere.
We have to be sincere to ourselves. Okay. Being a politician, I'm part of those agitating that the presidency should come to the south. Whether southeast or southwest, they are all south. And today, we have a candidate from the south. Because if I should speak that a credible candidate, we are not talking about age, we are not talking about health-wise, we are talking about somebody who will give Nigeria what they want. And that is assured all of you.
Beg your pardon, please. We're not here to campaign.
Okay,
the question I ask you, let me state it categorically again, is many believe that the political class played a role in making Nigeria or putting Nigeria where it is. We believe that the nation Nigeria should have advanced beyond this level. Now, let me tell you, you cannot have a child that has grown to say 30, beyond 30, 40, 50, and to say 62. And you cannot boldly say that these are the achievements, outstanding achievements, so to say. And many Nigerians believe that the political will is what is lacking here, for which our nation has remained the state. Remember, Nigeria is known as the giant of Africa. Are we truly the giant of Africa if the political elites didn't do something contrary?
That is why I made a statement. You see, we will learn how to get it right. The Northerners, we have given them enough chance. We have seen their own way of leadership. Nigeria is a giant of Africa. I'm not here to campaign for anybody. I'm an Igbo man. If I were to say, who are you following? I think I would say I'm following my brother. But the basic issue on ground is who will give Nigeria what they want. Who knows that job? Who will put Nigeria to the right time?
Do you agree that the political class haven't done enough to elevate the state of this nation? Do you agree?
Well, I will not agree with you.
Okay, you know what? Let me get your assessment of governance in Nigeria so far. 62 years of existence as a nation. What's your assessment of governance?
Well, everybody with his own style of leadership. Everybody with his own style of leadership. And that is why I said, with South, I think we are getting it right. We all know that Nigeria for today, many people are complaining, many people are not complaining. Now they have given power to South. Let us watch and see. We should stop complaining. When Yaradua was there, he did well when he was there. When Obasanjo was there, people complained. He did well. He brought GSM. You can't please the world. Buhari is there. He did not do well. He did well in some areas. Now the power is about shifting out of Buhari.
Says who?
We are going to conduct election in 2023.
Shifting out of the individual, okay.
Now, a new president will emerge from the south.
How certain are you? Interested. Okay, I'm listening.
And when that president emerges, we will now watch. It's not all about health-wise or age, no. How was, what age was Nelson Mandela when he ruled South Africa? The former president of America that was in the wheelchair. It's not by age. We should give the man who knows the road.
Okay.
And that is why you say we should not mention name. That is why, as a politician, we cannot put our head in one basket. Everybody will be in different baskets.
So, as far as you're concerned, your assessment of governance of Nigeria, you feel the political class did very well, fantastically well.
We have tried PDP for years. What did they brought? My brother, Jonathan, who was a former president, he didn't give the Igbos support. What can he say he did in Igbo land? If not, he started second Niger bridge, and Buhari has finished it. What are we saying? Look, we should tell ourselves the truth. Buhari has finished the second Niger bridge.
Okay.
Now, I'm coming now. Now, look at the southeast.
Okay.
Let Jonathan come and show us how many roads. Under Buhari regime, the former governor of Anambra, Obiano, opened a cargo airport. And he was given approval. So what are we saying?
Okay, you know what? Before I return to take the conversation to Dr. Agugua, I quickly want us to take a listen to this very clips. I did this interview with elder statesman Ajo Adebanjo to get his message and how he feels about the nation Nigeria at 62. Let's quickly take a listen, after which we'll be right back. We now say that independence for Nigeria is of good or is a cause?
Well, it's supposed to be good, but those who ruled it after that had made it a cause, particularly after the military took over in 1966. Before 1966, there was competition. Shimano built the stadium in Ibadan. Amadu built Bello Stadium. He built the University of Ife. They built Amadu Bello University. Okpara built agricultural something. There was competition. Because all those functions are residual powers in the federating states, which is what we are agitating for now. With the Army Council after reclaiming, that's what I'm telling you, that it's a fraudulent constitution. And once it's a fraudulent something, you can't get anything good from it.
All right, end of October 1st, Independence Day, what would be your message? Or first, let me first say...
There's no message until you change this constitution for sanity, for equity, for inclusiveness, for justice.
And equity.
Change the constitution. The first priority of was going to change this constitution in order to have peace and to have stability.
Well, that's Pa Ayo Adebanjo, elder statesman and the leader of Afenifere. Yes, you heard what he said in regards to the National 62. He feels that there's a problem with the constitution and should be changed. And until it is changed for justice and equity, and fairness. He said Nigeria is not ready. What do you make out of that, Dr. Ogogo?
Yeah, I'm very happy for that little paradigm shift in the thinking of the political class. But Ayo Adebanjo is somebody I respect so much. And in my little organization, as it has to do with governance, but our borders on equity, fairness, and inclusiveness, I think it's a question of time. The man deserves an award, which I'm going to spearhead.
Interesting.
It's fantastic, right. Yes. Because it's very, very unfair when he's talking about the disequilibrium and the content of our constitution. Thank God you displayed something about the man called Lord Lugard. The disequilibrium in Nigeria's constitution can be dated back to 1913, when Lord Lugard had to convince the House of Commons and the House of Lords on the need to amalgamate northern and southern Nigeria. As far as those houses were concerned then, those two sections of the country, or supposed country in his imagination, were two people that could not be matched for obvious reasons. And the disequilibrium you are talking about today, because everything borders on political interest. What you might regard as the conspiracy of the elite or elite conspiracy. There was an argument he put up in that house and clipped it one statement. He sent me to Burma, sent me to Uganda, sent me to India. I succeeded. If I must succeed in my mission in these Niger areas, the ladies of the resources of the South must be married to the indigent bachelor of the North. That summarizes this nature, structure, and content of your constitution up to today. And that is what has been happening. So when people like Ayo Adebanjo is talking about restructuring based on fairness of the content, substance, and nature of your constitution, that is the root of what we are talking about today. And let me make it very clear. It's so sad that Nigeria, let me use the word blessed. Nigeria is blessed currently with a class of political elite that verges more on the side of what you might regard as predatory rather than development-oriented. At the point of independence, let me make it very clear, the kind of respect the nations of the world had for Nigeria and the kind of confidence Nigeria was exuding as a nation seems to be in terrible hiatus. Far much better as it was in 1960 than what we are having today. So much that in one of his appearances at the Commonwealth, Sir Tafa Abubakar Tafa Balewa had the confidence to threaten the world that it's either you listen to Nigeria and change the apartheid system in South Africa, or we make South African wives to pull out of Africa. And they listened. That time you had many of ideas. I wonder which of your politicians today you can equate with the characters of Herbert Macaulay, because most times when you start talking about men of ideas that actually forged the path on which Nigeria is treading, what beats me is that most times we forget the man Herbert Macaulay. Herbert Macaulay laid a platform upon which Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe stepped in. Look at such people: Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Awolowo, the Sardauna of Sokoto himself. In most artists, I use some of his phrases. No matter however you look at the kind of politics they played it very well with ideals, confidence, and assertiveness.
And not insincerity.
Not insincerity.
Okay, Dr. Ogogo, at what point do you think that Nigeria got it wrong? And how do you think we can make it better?
Fantastic. Somebody wrote a piece before the vultures came on board. What was he referring to? Men of ideas leading the course of Nigeria's development till 1966. I'm not going to look into the trajectory of the first coup nor the second coup. But after the first, especially the second coup, what the man was narrating is that vultures took over the affairs of Nigeria. And it is still happening up till today. Those men who actually engineered and truncated the course of what you might regard as progressive-minded democratic ideas are still in the stables of power, either on seat or from behind the scenes. You can understand the pains of the man, late Chinua Achebe, when he stated, see, Nigeria is not what it is today because Nigerian leaders have not proved to be what they ought to be. But there is an adjunct to that, which I love so much, to answer your second question. When he stated, the problem also is that Nigerian leaders are what they are today because Nigerian people have not demanded for something better. In other words, it's not about the leadership. It's also about the followership. Somebody, when you're talking about how to move the nation forward, primordialism, selfishness, and eccentricism will becloud their thoughts, imaginations, and judgments. To say what not ought to be said, to demand for what ought to be demanded, to prescribe what will kill the nation instead of what will make the nation move forward. Where it has to do with ideas, where it has to do with men of intellect, Nigeria have it in quantum. That's why, I had cause to make a presentation at Ibadan. I said, Nigeria actually covets and covets one of the best set of brains in the world today.
True, no doubt.
And I'm bold. I won't mention the young man's name today, but there are several of them whose father at a point in time, when my first assignment as course advisor, said, this boy is so dull, he can't compete, this is that. Well, thank God with the arrangement with the mother, I want to send him out, let him just go and whatever he can do there, let him do with himself. The man lives somewhere, if he's listening to me now, he knows that I'm talking about him, lives somewhere in Agugua, a former bank executive director.
I hope he's not a politician now.
He's not a politician.
Okay.
2 years after this boy left the shores of Nigeria with a little, what we call very weak transcript we gave to him, he graduated the same time with his colleagues in Nigeria and emerged the second best in his class. The father was so marveled. They allowed him. Today, Anselem is a top-ranking lecturer in one of the UK.
The competition is tense in Nigeria.
Are we communicating? Fantastic. I make bold to say the quantum of bundle of potentials, human and material we have in this country is such that wherever Nigerians appear, they excel. In the year 2006, when President Obasanjo was still the president of this country, I think Botswana was the fastest growing economy in Africa. When African Union leaders were hosted in Abuja by former President Obasanjo, the president of Botswana was the toast of everyone present. And what came out of that discussion will shock you. When it was the man's turn to talk, he said, I'm very happy that I came here being made a kind of role model for my colleagues. But my greatest happiness is that I'm receiving these accolades in Nigeria, and I will tell you why. Because over 64% of my advisors are Nigerians. Obasanjo was the same person who received Clinton at our State House banquet hall, Abuja. Clinton was very happy, appreciating that visit. Was very happy that he was also in a country at that point in time to thank them for bestowing upon them the greatest gift any nation in the world can have today.
Human capital. And
that has to do with the issue of human capital. And I made bold to say, I want to toast with the name Professor Philip Emeagwali. That is the greatest gift any nation can give to America, that they received it from Nigeria. So what are you expecting that Nigerians do not have? The major problem is a cadre of leadership of this country that have made Nigerians puppets in situations where they should be giants, that have enthroned nepotism, favoritism, mediocrity as factors of engagement. And what's the implication? Yes, the world still see us as a potential giant. But today, because of the inadequacies of our leadership, we are a kind of giant with clay feet.
All right, beautiful. Let me get to your submission in regards to all that you have said. You know, we talked about nepotism playing a role, which Nigeria has continued to crawl rather than be running. We should be running now, but it appears as though the nation is crawling. What do you have to say?
As I said earlier, I always remember the past because my mom used to tell me that if you don't know where you are going, remember where you are coming from. That is a very big adage. So if I want to make a speech, I'll go back, I'll revise. Then that shows that this road, maybe I don't know this road. I have to go back and ask. So I think I know where I'm coming from. Now, what doctor has said is not far from the truth, but what we are saying is this opportunity that is being given to, this is another opportunity to South. And I think they are going to do better. Nigeria has been crawling to some people. Nigeria has been running to some people.
What do you think? What the state of Nigeria to you? How would you describe it? Is Nigeria running?
I have said it before that I think zoning the presidency to the South, that we should give opportunity and watch that Nigeria will get it better.
I'm not talking about the way forward now. I'm saying, from your assessment, what would you say? What do you think? What do you make out of the country Nigeria at 62?
When you have a cracking house, your house is already cracked. It's about to collapse. What do? You
find a way to mend it.
And you have tenants in that house, and that house want to fall. Will you renovate the house on top of the tenants? The answer is no. Nigeria is 62. We should not be talking about the past. Solution.
We'll get to solution. There's no way you want to get to solution without you looking at where you're coming from. How do you get solution when you don't analyze your challenges?
The solution is this. Where we are coming from, the presidency is at the north. Now they have zoned it to the west.
Okay, you know what, viewers, I think right about this time, I would like us to take a short break. And when we return, the phone lines will be open, so you can also be part of this conversation. Let's hear from Nigerians. What do you think, Nigeria 62? Have we gotten it better? How else do you think we can make this country better? Just how do we begin to rebuild the nation of our dreams? Welcome back. You're still watching Super Eye, and we have been talking about the nation Nigeria, some of the challenges facing us, and how we begin to fix this nation to us having the Nigeria of our dreams. And I believe that that is a very possible. It's all about being optimistic, but of course, in trying to be optimistic, we just must know where we are coming from, so we know where we are going to. So I have my guest still in the studio now. I would want us to quickly, looking at the topic of discussion, which is assessing governance, security, and education. Unfortunately, my guest to help us look at Security in Nigeria. I don't know, I think he's held up in traffic. This is part of the challenges we are talking about in Nigeria. For over how many years? Today we are still talking about traffic jam. We are yet to get it right. So just how do we begin to get it right? So Dr. Agogo, I'll take it to you again. Now, let's get your assessment of education in Nigeria, the education sector, especially when we look at the fact that students have been, tertiary institution students have been home for over close to 7 months now. And to say that there was also the judgment, the verdict given by the courts recently insisting that you lecturers must return to the classroom. And you have insisted that no way. And now they've also sent letters to vice chancellors to ensure that you guys, the lecturers are forced to the institution. So, Dr. Agogo, I want to hear from you. What's your assessment, and how do you think we can take it forward?
Let me take it from top to bottom, which the present governance of Nigeria represents. They promised you they're going to take it from top to bottom, and that's exactly what Nigeria is experiencing. The issue of judgment given by the courts, forcing lecturers back to the class. We anticipated that from the government. And that shows you how daft the political class of today seem to be. You can predict they are always taking a misstep towards the wrong direction.
In other words, you lecturers were not disappointed.
We were not disappointed. Okay. We were anticipating them to do that, and that's exactly.
And that's why you are adamant, maybe.
It's not the case of why we are adamant.
Okay.
Now we are proving to the world, to the average Nigeria, that you have a set of political class that do not respect the rule of law. Because the court read out what we might regard as a kind of written script. Because if you go through all what processes the court followed to actually reach that judgment, it's just like the kind of judgment that was given in Imo State, where number 4 person became number 1. It cut across. Our only summary of what happened or what took place at the court just brought to bear one statement when we go into the arena of social movements during the days of the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. The politics of America had to actually they made the Pope of that period to make a pronouncement against the priests who were involved in the protests, against the inhumanity Nicaraguans were subjected to, forcing the priests who were on the side of the masses to stay clear. One statement of one of the priests is very, very instructive here. He said, unfortunately, it's like we are in the era of the Inquisition, when the Pope cracks down on problems instead of solving it. That was what happened at your court. They want to crack down on problems, issuing directives to vice chancellors to open the classes. Perhaps we now engage cows to go and teach students. Let me tell you, there is a time in the history of a man, virtue and decency matters to him more than material imports. Part of what we are banking on is the principle of weaponization of poverty. But by the time you starve them 2 months, 3 months, they will come begging. Some of us are ready to sell pure water to defend our dignity.
In fact, we are aware of some lecturers who have even
gone on Uber driving. Fantastic. That is just to show this political class that for once there is a class that is willing to lay down their lives to do what? Stand up to them.
That their word will always be their bond.
Bonds! Because what you are seeing is an attack on the fundamental fabric of the development of a nation. And from day one, from my own political class discussions, I made it very clear to my students that what I'm seeing is a class that will wage a war against the academia, a war against education, because they represent a class, like I made a statement earlier on, that as it has to do with the categorization of the political class you have today, they are not development-minded, they are predatory. they are guided more by their stomach infrastructure, selfishness, centrism, and primordial tendencies than the need to serve the purpose of the masses.
But Doctor, could that not also be said to the lecturers?
Sure.
And the fact that you did not obey the court or the verdict might also be seen as disrespect for the rule of law?
No. I hope you are following the trends properly. Also filed an appeal. When a court issues a statement, they give you a time of appeal. Am I communicating?
Very much.
That is operating within the ambit of the rule of law.
True.
So the people now traversing that rule of law is the people that are now issuing directives. Am I communicating?
True.
It's not ASU has to do with a cream of the society that understands the tenets of law and rule of engagement.
All right, beautiful. Let me take the conversation to you, Prince Anselem. What do you make out of what was the education sector, and what do you make out of
the issue of ASU strike?
ASU federal government.
Yes, it's very, very bad. We must call a spade a spade. And the student has demonstrated to them to tell them that they know their rights. Look, if we have Minister of Education, we have the Minister of Labor, I think they know what the right thing to do. They have children. The most important thing is, you know, when something happens, nobody will call the person in charge of that affair. Everybody, what they will be pointing is the president. If fire catch in your house, you call the president. If you kick stone, you call the president. It's a normal thing. He's the head of state. Now there's a job being assigned to somebody, and that person is not performing. We expect them to remove such person. But as I said earlier, and I will continue to say, I am not in support of that. Many of them have printed banners, posters, they know how much they spent. So why can't they, solve the issue of ASU? But that's why I told you.
But now, do you agree sincerely that the education sector has suffered a level of setback?
What am I saying? I said, yes, he has drawn them back. It's not good. But all we are all saying is solution.
So what do you advocate as the way forward?
The way forward is they have to talk to the lecturers. They have to appeal to them, appeal to the students, and act fast, because it's not good for our country. People have been at home for over 7 months. It's not good.
So as we celebrate 62 years of existence, independence, and anniversary, you are talking to the political class now. Will you have the
yeah.
What would be the main advice you'll be given?
I know Mr. President as a listening person, and my advice for him as the President of Nigeria is he knows what is good. He knows the good, he knows the bad. And I know him, and I know he's working towards it. And I know he will not accept such thing. He will not even be part of that. And I know him as somebody who always wants the best for the youth. And that is why you see him sign this, not too young to run. If he doesn't have a good plan for the youth, he will not sign, he will not even accept. So, and I know he's going to work on it. So please, to our president, it's very bad. I'm a youth. It's not good for my fellow youth to stay at home 7 months. I'm appealing to Mr. President, to the Senate, to the House of Rep, to the ministers, because most of them, their children in the school in Nigeria.
All right, thank you. Dr. Agugua, can we truly say that Nigeria is one nation? Can we say Nigeria is a united nation? The reason being that recently, a bill for power rotation among the 6 geopolitical zones was rejected at the Senate. I mean, one of the senators brought that to the fore and was turned down. Does this not justify the fact that, to an extent, our leaders are not committed to the nation becoming one Nigeria?
Well, we are one nation by way of definitional nomenclature.
By definition?
By definition.
Okay.
That also takes me back to the views of the earlier politicians when, as we say, the political class were constituted of people who were now answer the tag when men were men. At a point in time, Chief Awolowo had cause to say that Nigeria is just a mere geographical expression. Sir Ahmadu Bello had cause to say that God did not create Nigeria, the British did. If that is made to bear, now you now bring to bear the understanding and substance of the fact that in a totalitarian nation where the interests of the larger segments of the society does not constitute the focus of the political class, the interest of the elite now supersedes the interest of the masses. This is exactly what is facing this country today, where there is an onslaught against the interest of the masses by a terrible-minded political class that sees its interests superseding that of every other one. Now, let me even look at that rejection of the bill. Let's assume it came from what you might regard as a nationalistic, patriotic orientation or inclination, as you might have in a place like United States of America, where any person can come from anywhere. I knew that Clinton, at a point in time, was the governor of Arkansas, right? The wife, at a point in time, became the senator of New York, right?
True.
Fantastic. Are we communicating?
Yes.
So, if they reject such a bill in such a society, it's a different ball game. See, why? Because you have a political class that has a goalpost where the ball is geared towards selecting the best that matters for the society. But that bill was rejected, not from point of view of that consideration, but from point of view of the consideration of what you might call what? Negotiation of justice. That justice is not neutral, it's not blind. It has to do with, does it serve our interests? This primordialism. You know, if we have time, we have gone to school with it to now explain why that bill was rejected. Because some people feel
that it
they are born to, yes, it's not beneficial to them because they are born to rule.
All right, I think this is where we're going to leave this conversation. I know you can appreciate it, but unfortunately, this is the much that time would permit. This junction, let me thank you, my guest, for coming on Super Eye. I've been speaking with Dr. Augustine Agugua, an academic and a public analyst. Many thanks for coming. I also want to thank you all to the Extreme Prince Anselem Udoka, right?
Yeah.
Many thanks for coming on Super Eye. I hope when we call you again, you oblige. All right, viewers, the program has been Super Eye, and I think this is where we're going to draw the curtain. Like I said earlier, congratulations to Nigerians for these 62nd independence anniversary. However, this is how we're going to call it a day. Many thanks for watching. Remember to join us same time next week. I'm Adenike Ajiboye, and it's a bye for now.